CG3 class. Welcome to our first project. We're going to be creating color wheels using Adobe Illustrator. So when you first open up Illustrator, you will come to this home screen and you'll have to hit create a new document. Now there's some presets right here in the middle of the screen. If you wanted to use just regular letter size, you could do that. A lot of projects we're going to be doing this year are going to be custom size or a little bit larger. Like for instance, the color wheel is going to be actually a poster size. So we're going to have to create a custom size for that. So when I hit create new, you can do this a couple different ways. It should open up this window right here, and you'll see different settings up on top here. So if we go to click on the word print, you'll see a bunch of print sizes, including this one that says print large. You could create your own. You can also modify your width and height over here. And right now it's set to points, so this is one of those things where I know you guys over the years have probably made the error between what unit of measure you're using. Remember, a point is 1/72 of an inch. So to kind of like deal with this in terms of something you can picture in your head, you can change points to inches. So now you're working in inches as your unit of measure. And you can see that, even though there was like 1,000 points there, this is really only like 8.5 by 11. So I could type in, and we can make these at least 24 inches in both directions. So if you want to make like a 24 by 36 poster, you could do that. If you want to make it 24 by 24, you could do that as well. But I'm going to just go with 24 by 36, and I'm going to do the orientation tall. Okay, so portrait style instead of landscape. And I think that's all you have to worry about there, okay? Everything else should be okay, and then you're going to hit create. And now we should have the artboard on our screen ready to go. This is the artboard. You can modify the artboard by using the artboard tool, which is right here. So if you need to quickly make an adjustment to the size of this document, you can just grab this tab and move that over a little bit. By hitting Command, or if you're on a PC, Control R, it'll show the rulers. So if you notice that the ruler now popped up at the top of the screen, so that is kind of helpful if you're using that artboard tool to see how large you're actually making your document. Now, one of the tools we're going to use a lot when you do the color wheel is the rotate tool. So let's say I want to just do a color wheel where it's a circle, and I'm just going to divide it up into 12 slices. So this should be a review for you guys from graphics 1 and 2. But I'm going to draw a line straight through this here. And that's going to be one of the lines I use to divide my object. Make sure you align everything. So every time you draw something, aligning becomes really important. So I have my align window out, and I'm going to line this through the center. And I'm also going to line it this way, vertically as well, because when I rotate that, I want to make sure it's all centered. You can also align it after I rotate this line. So now I need to get a 12 slice pizza here. So I'm going to select the line I just drew right through the middle, and you're going to use the rotate tool. So there are a couple ways to use rotate tool, and I'll go into a different way in 1 second here. I'm going to double click on the rotate tool, and that will open up the rotate window. Okay, the center rotation is going to be the center of the object, so it's automatically going to set that up for you unless you change that. I'll show you that in a second. And if we have, if we want 12 slices, we have to divide 12 into 360. So, math majors, you should know that that's 30 degrees. If you're not a math major, you could type in 360 divided by 12, and it will also come up with 30 when you do this. And we're not going to click OK, we're going to click copy. And now it made a copy of that line. And then if you remember, you hit Command D, which will now apply the same transformation again to the selected object. So I'm going to hit Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D until I have all the lines I need. Once I have this done, I can select this. I'm going to align this through center again just to make sure. If it was aligned originally, you don't have to do that. If you did not align it originally, make sure it's aligned. Unless you don't want your slices to all be the same, I'll leave that up to you. Then it's going to be Pathfinder. So we moved into the Pathfinder window, and we're going to click Divide. Remember, when you click Divide, you have to ungroup the object. So you can ungroup the object either in your Properties window. It'll be, say, ungroup way down here, or hit Shift Command G or Shift Control G, or you can right click on the object and go to ungroup. Now I have all the slices I need, and you can start filling these with your colors. Okay, now this is going to be a very simple color wheel. And I'm going to do a separate tutorial on how better to fill these with color, okay? But you can kind of get an idea here. The important first step of this project is just making the overall shapes of your color wheel. So that's if you're going to do some kind of thing where you're going to be dividing up a bunch of pieces. Now, if you were really creative with this, you could also add other segments in here, like if you want to show that the colors are going to be gradually changing as they go through. So you could divide this up in a number of different ways. I won't align this right now, but I just want to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about here. So if I divided this now and ungroup it, you can leave spaces throughout if you want to, and then change these interior colors to a different version of that color there. If you want to show like what a desaturated version of that color could look like, you could really get creative with the geometry of your color wheel with those tools. Okay, so I won't go too far because I want you guys to come up with your own solutions there. Another thing is that if you came up with a shape that you wanted to rotate around, and I'm just going to go simply with a star, I would hope that you'd come up with some different shapes here. Let's say you had you want to do a color wheel that has a few different stars in it. Let's make one more, and I'll scale this down a little bit, move this up, and then we can align and distribute those objects. This looks a little high, so I'm going to use distribute spacing, which by the way, if you're missing part of the options, always go to this upper right corner here, and you can do show options. And then distribute spacing controls the space between the objects, so that might give me a better distribution there. I like that. So I'm going to group these three together. So I just hit Command G there, or you can right click and hit group, Control G if you're on a PC. And if I want these to rotate around a point down here, so I get stars all around, you would have to set your rotation point to a different spot. So you do that by holding the Option key on your keyboard. So when I hold Option, you'll see the dot 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 come up next to the crosshairs. And now when I click, the rotation point sets up here. So now these objects are rotating around a point that's here. This is still on 30, so I'm just going to hit Copy, and then I can hit Command D, and now I have something where it's rotating around a point down below. Okay, so that's an Option click move when you have the rotate tool. Okay, so that should be a little bit helpful as far as getting your geometry started with these projects.